Hi everybody, it's Daly here from sunny Melbourne, Australia. Today I am sharing with you a card from the upcoming 2021 January to June mini catalogue for Stampin' Up, and this one here from the Simply Succulents Bundle. So anyone that knows me know that I love my garden, so this was jumped out at me as soon as I saw the catalogue, and I particularly love the succulents because there's so many shades of green and so much you can do to with the highlighting and that in different colours. So today I'm going to show you how to make this card using the bundle, and I've also got a watercolour wash, an ink wash on the background, and then I'll show you how I watercoloured the Simply Succulent stamp set, which is a beautiful new set. So thanks for coming along to watch today's video, and if you've got any questions, make sure to ask them below, and there'll also be lots of information referred to as we go along, and I'll include that in the comment section as well. So you will find the Simply Succulents bundle on page 39 in the new mini catalogue. I'm not allowed to actually show you the inside page of the catalogue yet, so I can't show you, but I can show you the products. So it's a it's a red rubber stamp set, and it's got some beautiful imagery and some lovely sentiments there. And it's bundled with the potted succulents dies, and I'll show you those a bit closer later on. So let me show you how I made the water wash background piece for my card. I'm doing this in Pool Party because that's going to be the card base, and I just want a little bit of extra on that. So I've got a piece of Fluid 100 watercolor paper here, and I've just taped it to the back piece of cardboard just so that I've got a flat base. And then what I want to do is to put quite a bit of water. So the ink will go where the water is, so don't go all the way to the edges because that's not what we want. And then what I do is I actually use the inside of the ink pad because it just makes it easy. Add some more water in there. Add a couple of drops of re-inker. And then use some, I want this to be quite wet. And then we're actually just applying the watery bit to the card. That's all there is to it. So you just need lots of water on the watercolor paper, and you need lots of water in the ink pad, and then you can just move things around how you want them to. You might want to put, you know, like a bit of a darker area somewhere, but because you've got lots of water in there, it's going to move around nicely, and you'll end up with nice edges with various colour bits here, there and everywhere. And then I just usually let it dry naturally, but if you want to hurry up the process, you can actually use a heat gun, and that sort of moves the water around a little bit as well. But and you can also like darken that up and actually put some ink spots over the top afterwards as well if you're wanting to. But I just, for this one, I'm just after a water wash, so that's all I'm doing. The very important tip is to make sure that you remove the water from the base of your ink pad, because otherwise it will dilute the ink in your ink pad. So just wipe that up, close that up, and then you want to be making sure that you have got rid of the colour out of the water painter. So just brushing this until it goes clear. Yep, that's pretty good. Might run it under the tap in a little bit. So that's all there is to it. So we'll move on to the rest of the card. So I have stamped the 2 images I'm using from Simply Succulents. So I've got the large succulent group there and also the pot, this one. So I have stamped them both in Stays On ink onto the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and that's because I'm watercoloring. So when you watercolor, you use the solvent ink pad, and when you're using blends, you use the the water-based ink pad, so the Memento. But we're going to be using watercolors today, using the ink pads. So I've got my water painters out. I'm going to be using the medium and the small ones. And I'm going to start with the pot. So I like to turn things on its side here. Now I'm going to put wet on dry here. So you can also watercolor wet on wet, which the colors move around a little bit more, but I'm going to do wet on dry today. Gives me a little bit more control. So I'm basically using smoky slate to cover most of the pot, and then I'm going to provide the shading with a darker shade of smoky slate, maybe even basic grey if we need to get into it. So we'll see how we go. Probably a darker shade of smoky slate because I think I'd like it quite light. So, yep. Love watercolouring. It's so peaceful. I've got a really quiet house this week because my eldest son, who's finished year 12 this year, he has gone camping with my husband, who took a week off work. Unfortunately, they didn't get off to a very good start because they started at Wilson's Prom in Victoria on a night that there was a cold front going through, and they had 100-kilometre-hour winds, and my husband's tent didn't hold up very well. So they've had to divert to a holiday house in Tootgaroo, and then they're going to finish off the other days, and my husband bought a new tent. So they're having a few adventures. They'll remember this trip. So what I'm doing here is just adding a darker shade of the smoky slate for the shading, and I'm just doing that by adding less water to the ink when I'm mixing that up. So we'll have a little bit more there. Blend it a little. I really love this Fluid 100 paper. It's so great for blending. It's cotton, and it really holds the water so that you can blend for quite a while after you've laid the ink, which is really great. And those of you that have seen me watercolour before know that I like the sort of messy looking watercolour, and that's why I often do just the wet on dry colour. I just sort of like that, sort of suits my style of card making. So doesn't have to be perfect. Make this one a little bit darker because it's sort of like a highlight. So my other son is still home though. You might hear him scream in a moment. He's gaming at the moment, so you might hear a few screams coming out as something happens in one of his games. Can't believe it's nearly the end of the school year. He's actually doing orientation for his next school year at the moment, and he's only got a week and a half of school left and then be on holidays. So, okay, so there's my pot. I'm really happy with that. As I said, I just wanted a bit of subtle colour, so now I'm just using the water painter to remove that ink. Okay, so next one I'm going to do, now that I know that it's clear, is I'm going to start on the succulents, and I'm going to start with mint macaron. So there's already some ink there, and I'm going to use the medium again. So I'll pop that in. This is quite watery. Just check it's not too watery. Might be a little bit. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to do these big ones here. So I'm doing this with quite a light layer of the mint macaron, and then I'm going to come back and add some highlights, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of additional colour, which you often see around the tips of succulents. I've actually got succulents growing in my garden. I love succulents. They so easy to strike. Just grab a piece, pop it in some soil, and off it goes. So when I saw this stamp set, I was like, yep, thank you, I'll have that. So I think it's going to be a fun one. It'll be great coloured watercoloured, but it'll also be great coloured with Stampin' Blends as well. So if you're colouring with Stampin' Blends, just make sure that you do the initial stamping with either Memento Black. But the other cool thing is with Stampin' Blends is you can actually use any of our dye-based ink pads to do the stamping. So you could do basic grey or even smoky slate if you wanted a lighter effect. So I'll do one of those in a video coming up, but my first go at this stamp set, I definitely wanted it to be watercolouring. Okay, so there's that one. And I think I might go on and do these two in... Yeah, I think I might go on and do those two in the same colour, even though I think it's a slightly different species of succulent. Let's not get too technical here. I love mint macaron. It's one of my favourite colours. And I love when all the different greens get put in together. They just look great, I think. Okay, so there's that one, and just need to squeeze my ink pad again because we're getting a bit low on the ink. It wasn't obviously a very good squeeze. That's much better. See, when a good amount of ink in there. Okay, so we'll just use the edge of that. We'll do this one. So I'm still using the medium brush here, which is a good size. You can hear the crickets outside my window. It's not actually a very warm night here in Melbourne tonight. We've had a bit of a cool change this week, and which I actually really like because it means I've got lots of stuff done. Hasn't been so good for the campers, but the crickets are going. I think maybe it's the Christmas lights as well. If you've had a look on my blog, you'll see on my Facebook page, Daly Creates, you'll see that we've got lots of Christmas lights up to add a bit of shining brightness out into the world. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a few highlights now with the mint macaron. So and so it's around the base and then a little bit around the top of those petals. I'm just adding a bit of extra shading. So again, what I did there was just add a little bit less water to get that darker colour. And you'll soon get the hang of how much it takes to do various things, to get various looks. And the middle will be quite dark, so we can just be a bit rough in there. Like I said, no perfect blending for my watercolouring. So I do admire those people that do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, you'll see this one just needs a bit of more blending, so I'm going to put some water in there and see if I can blend that out a little bit more. So I'm just adding a little bit more water to that. Probably should have done it as I was going along. But like I said, you can re-wet this paper and you can get that blending happening again. I want a bit of the variation in the colour showing. So that's softening those lines a bit. So just by adding additional water back to that and moving the colour around some more. So I'm liking how that's looking. There's some variations of the light and dark there, which is really good because we want that. Because obviously when you're looking at a succulent that is standing in the sunshine, there'll be different shadows and different shades on them as well. They're not all completely the same colour. So we want to have a bit of variation in that colour. Okay. I love succulents. So what else can I talk to you about? Celebration. Celebrations coming up. And, well, it's a fabulous time to join Stampin' Up at any time of year, really. But there's always extras on special during celebration. And it's a really good time to join my team. So I've been a demonstrator for, it'll be 14 years in January. And I absolutely love what I do. Got a fantastic team. And to be honest, having team and helping other ladies either have their enjoyment of their stamping as a hobby or learning to go outside their comfort zone and be a little bit more proactive on social media and sharing the products. I call them the happy sharers. Is really great. That gives me a real thrill as well. And people that said, oh, I remember one lady in my team, I could never do a blog, and now she's blogging regularly and sharing on the team blog hobs and absolutely loves it. So have a look. It's a great opportunity, a really great community. We've got a wonderful team, and you will really love being part of our team. So have a look at our joining page and the specials that are coming up. Okay, so the next step is I actually want to add a little bit of extra pinky colour around the edges of this one. So you'll notice on some succulents, they've actually got a teensy bit of pink on the tips. So I'm actually going to use rich raspberry for that, but I need to have a really thin brush and I need to have a really light colour because I don't want it to overwhelm. So let's see how we go. I'm just checking my colour off the, it's a bit too, probably should have done it on a bit closer than I could have used this bit again, but okay, let's have a go. Make sure there's plenty of water in there so I can blend it up well. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so right on the tips, I just want to add a bit of that purpley, rich raspberry colour and just blend it in a little bit. Not much colour. I'm not adding too much colour, just enough to give it a teensy bit of that additional colour.
And then this one I'm blending in straight away because that will be a little bit harder to blend later. So loving how that's looking already. So we'll go and do these ones as well. Do all of these ones on this big one here. So I'll do about 3 or 4 petals, and then I'll come back in and just I can always add more green if I need to again. There's the one, a petal under there. I'm not quite sure what colour that's supposed to be. I think that might be supposed to be mint macaron. We'll have to go back. I love it. Just absolutely love the way that it's just giving that extra bit of colour in there amongst all of the colours. So I'm going to just turn the video off for a tick while I keep doing all of these so that I don't make the video too long for you. And then I'll be back when I've done some of the other petals and to finish those off and can show you how that looked. So here I am back. I've done some more colouring and I'll let you know what I've done. So I've used the soft sea foam ink pad to colour those ones solid, and I'm going to do some highlights on those in a moment. And then I have used garden green to provide a different tone of green, because when you look at a pot of succulents, it's lots of different shades of green, and that's what I love about them. So I've used garden green just on its own on this one down the bottom, and just various shadings of that, a little bit darker in various spots. So now what I'm going to do to balance the image a little bit, I'm going to go back and get my fine one, and I'm actually going to put a few garden green highlights on this one up the top, just so that we've got a bit more balance in the colours in the image, because I've got quite dark colours down here and it's looking a bit light up the top. So we can just add a little bit of extra of the garden green on the ends and right in the centre. I think that'll add some nice variation to this succulent colour, and it will also balance the overall colour. Excuse me, I am going to cough. Okay. I think things must have got a bit exciting in the gaming room because there's been a bit of screaming going on. It's fun. I'll tell you what, you know, we used to say, I keep them off their computers and that, but this year during coronavirus, the connection that the boys, or my son, my youngest especially, has got through connecting with his friends online, I think it's kept him sane and happy, which is really good. So, you know, whatever that takes, I think, is fine by me. We've been really lucky here in Melbourne in that we have managed to have, I think we're on 38 or 39 days of no coronavirus cases, which after, you know, things were so bad in sort of July and August, it's such a blessing. And we're going to be able to, at this stage, gather at Christmas with family. And most excitingly for me is that the borders to Western Australia have also opened, and that's where my mum and my sisters are, so that's really exciting. So my sister's coming to visit in January, and I'm looking forward to going back to Perth to see my mum early next year as well. So, oh goodness, it's been so hard being apart from family this year. I know many of you will be feeling the same. Just shows you the important things in life, doesn't it? You know, families and connection, our health, you know, bringing joy to other people, And I think that's why I love being a Stampin' Up demonstrator so much, because I know people just get enjoyment out of making things, and if I can facilitate that or inspire that, you know, that's a pretty good day for me. And so I think I'm pretty much liking this. I might be leaving enough alone, I think, at that stage. So I've just added in some extra of the garden green just to add a little bit more the colour. So now it's on to cutting those images out and putting them on the card. So let's move on to that step. So the next stage of our project is the die cutting. And I've trimmed down my images, and we've got the potted succulents die set here. That was part of the bundle, and it's beautiful. So in addition to the ones which cut out various elements in the stamp set, so you've got ones which cut out these bits here, it's also got this 4 really useful labels which have got stitching around the outside, which are absolutely beautiful. And then it's got the big one here to go around this whole spray, and it's also got the one to go around the pot. But it's also got some additional foliage, succulent foliage, that you can just cut out that actually isn't on the stamp. So that'll come in really handy as well. I think it's a really and this one's actually an outline one. You'll get an outline image of a succulent on that one as well as the whole outside of this one. So it's a really versatile die set. You get lots of things in there. So we're going to use this one here and this one here. Now I've already stamped and embossed this one here, You've Been on My Mind. I really love that sentiment. So I have already embossed that in white onto black cardstock, and I've used this label die to cut that out. It's a perfect fit, as you can see. So we'll be using that on the card when we're finished, or just before we're finished. Now the star of the show with the die cutting here is our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So this little fella here, which is on pre-order for Stampin' Up demonstrators this month, and from the 5th of January customers will be able to buy it as well. So it's fantastic. I love it. It's light. It doesn't take up much real estate when I'm doing things like videos or on my craft desk, which isn't huge. So I've got my big Stampin' Cut and Emboss over on my cut and emboss thing where I keep my dies and that, but this one I can just take wherever I want. It's so light. Absolutely love it. So it's 9 centimeters wide, and you get the when you buy it, you get the base plate and your 2 acrylic plates that go with that. So that's what you do for using to cut your thin dies. And you also get this one here, which you use with the base plate and for the standard embossing folders. And then the darker one is for the 3D embossing folders. So use that one with the base plate. But all of the information is included in the brochure which comes with it. So because we are going to be die cutting, I'm going to be using the base and the 2 acrylic plates. Pop this one in, so you see it's got a bit of a groove there. It goes in, and pop that in, and then now I want this to be perfect. So we need to, I'm going to be adding some masking tape to just keep it in place. Some washi tape actually. So you can see there I'm lining that up. It's a really good fit to go around that. And we'll just get our washi tape. And when I'm doing this, I just pop the washi tape on the outside part. So it's not going to obviously get on any of the stamping or anything. So we'll pop that up there, make sure it actually goes onto the die there, and we'll another couple of bits so we get a nice cut. There. So even though it's overlapping the stamping, it's not actually going onto that. It's just sitting on the edge. And then we'll pop that one here in there too. So that's all we need. So I've secured that in place, and then we will pop the other plate, bring those out, pop the other plate on top, and wheel it through. We'll take that one out. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Cuts it out perfectly. Love how close that cuts around the image. Isn't that awesome? So the other one we're going to quickly do is we're going to cut out the pot. So we'll do the same as we did, except obviously with the pot die. Cut side down. I can see getting lots of use out of this pot die with other stamp sets as well. The Jar of Flowers stamp set comes to mind straight away. You could use the mason jar punch with the succulents, and you could also use the flowers in that set with this pot as well. So there's a good bit of mixing things around. So we'll cut out the pot. And there we go. A little bit extra on the side there. That's okay. It's going to look so beautiful. Okay, now it is time to put our card together. So we have got a top folding standard pool party card base. We've got the watercolor wash piece, which we did on the Fluid 100. And we've got our watercolor pieces here. And we've got our label, and we'll pop those on at the end. So to attach my watercolor piece, watercolor wash piece to the card, I'm going to use some tear and tape adhesive. I like, because it's been watercolored, it's a little bit warped, and I really like using the tear and tape adhesive in that situation because it really keeps it flat onto the base card. So I'm going to pop that on. We'll just pop a bit through there. So just remove the backing. It's really easy to tear, but it's super strong adhesive, which I really like. It's great for boxes and 3D items as well. So I'm going to stand up to do this bit. So I get the best angle. Yeah, pretty happy with that. So we'll adhere that down. Okay, so there is our card base with our watercolor wash on. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my multi-purpose glue to pop the base. And I'm going to pop the base down flat because I want the, and it looks like that glue's empty. So take two on the glue. This one's definitely not empty. Oops, there we go. Obviously needed a pin or something in there. That's the one I left out last night and put away when I cleaned up today, so I didn't put the lid on. That's what happens. So we're popping that down flat onto the card base, to the watercolor wash piece. So I think about here is where I want it. Just quickly double check that's going to fit.
Yep, that's good. Now I want it like that because the greeting goes off a little bit to the side. So I wanted it to have, with the visual triangle, I wanted that to be right. So that's worked out well. So I've adhered that one down. Next I'm going to put the succulent bit, and I'm going to use dimensionals for that because I want that one to be lifted up a little bit to look like it's flowing over the top. And that should do it. Let's pop more in. Okay. So I want it on a bit of an angle. Happy with that. Now next we're going to put our greeting on, our sentiment. So I'm actually going to, should I put it on, put it flat there and on dimensional there? No, I think I'll actually put it up on dimensionals as well. So we're going to use the mini dimensionals for this one because it's a little bit thinner. We don't want any of them to be able to be seen. We could even use the black mini ones, but I've got these ones out, so we'll use these. Just one in the middle and one at the end will do it. Actually, I probably only need it to about there because the other bit's going to be sticking off. So we'll get those bits off. Make sure it's straight. That's often where I fall down. I think that's looking pretty good. Oh, loving this card already, if I do say so myself. Isn't it amazing how a black and white sentiment really lifts a card that you know, otherwise could be looking a little bit flat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop some of these out of the artisan sequins. I think we'll pop one up here. Now you watch me need to move these around in a moment. We'll pop one here, and then I might pop a little one here. There you go. I'm really happy with that. I don't think I need anything else to do with that card. What I am going to do though, and I don't have the bit cut to ready to do it straight away, is I'm going to pop a bit of the bit of shimmery white so that it coordinates in colour better with the watercolour paper in the centre, and then I'm just going to put one little succulent spray on the side there, just to tie the front with the inside. So I hope you like today's card, and I've had fun making it for you, and I would love you to subscribe to my channel, but I'd also love you to join my subscriber list where I send out projects most weeks to my subscriber list, because I love sharing with you and I love getting emails back from people that are enjoying making my projects. So yeah, do that. All the details are below. If you have any questions about the card, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're interested in getting the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine as a in your starter kit as a demonstrator this month, the details are below as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon.